To the president of the university, Argo, for inviting me to dinner last night, because at the appreciation dinner for Michael last night, so this is the second appreciation dinner Michael is attending, Michael gave a speech, and I'm going to do something that none of you should do. I'm going to plagiarize it, right? So I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of you know quite a number of statistics about Michael. You know, Shy Piper in Furmston is currently in its 15th edition. 16th edition is coming out soon, I believe. Michael has one wife, 10 children, right? For those of you who don't know, that's, the Singapore government should really consult Michael on how to get our birth rates up. That's the solution staring you in the face. More importantly, related to the deanship, Michael has been dean 3 times now, so this is the 3rd occasion upon which he is stepping down. And funnily enough, he steps down every 14 years. So 14 years from today, I think we'll be up here again for Michael's 2nd term as dean at SMU Law. Michael served SMU Law School for 5 years, and according to Michael's own report, when he was at Bristol, this is the perfect term for a dean, right? 5 years is just right, not too long, not too short. But leaving aside the statistics, I was not at SMU when Michael was made dean, but I was actually visiting SMU a couple of days later. I was going to have lunch with the current dean, Professor Yeo Cheong Min, and that's when I found out that Michael would be the founding dean of SMU. So I drove by to SMU to pick up Cheong Min for lunch at Wild Rocket on Mount Sophia. And Cheong Min was having a sore throat on that day, so he said in a very raspy voice, quite simply, "Michael Furmston is dean." Could you hear that? Now, hearing the story from Michael yesterday, apparently he found out from Sasha. You all know Sasha, right? For those of you who are not law students, Sasha is one of our very enterprising and very hard-working members of the General Office. On a Wednesday, that he was to have lunch with the then President, Rodyk, our Hunter, on a Monday. And he didn't really know why he was supposed to have lunch, but he sort of surmised it couldn't be that they wanted to fire him since he just kind of started. So, a bit like my own experience with Michael when, I'll talk about my experience with Michael later. So, he had lunch with Woody on a Monday, and apparently he was given over the course of lunch to decide whether he would take up the founding deanship. So I imagine that must have been a fairly long lunch, because most of us try and avoid such things. And Woody must have been very, very persuasive to have been able to persuade Michael to take up the deanship just over the course of lunch. Because I myself, when Michael asked me, my most memorable moment in SMU actually was about 2 Novembers ago, when Michael summoned me into his office. And his first words to me were, "Kelvin, I have bad news." And that's when he offered me the associate deanship. Little did he know that the bad news was for him, because it was one of his worst decisions ever. Must be one of the only bad decisions he made as dean. Michael has been a very, very, very amazing gift to the law school. I mean, we could not have asked for a better founding dean. He is a giant in the law of contract, and he brought with him years of experience as dean. And those of you, students don't really know how difficult it is to run a law school, because, we complain that students are difficult, but law professors are like students multiplied manyfold, right? So we are even more difficult to manage than students. So for Michael to have kept the school together, going in more or less the same direction, is a very amazing feat. I have been now with 3 law schools. I've served under 3 deans and 3 different heads of department, and I can say without any doubt, I'm excluding Cheong Min in this mix, because Cheong Min has only taken over for just over a month. right? So just based on up until July of this year, Michael is the best dean I have served under, right? Now come this time next year, I will of course sing a completely different tune, because by then Chongmin will be in charge of my pay rise. So on behalf of everyone, Michael, thank you very, very much. You've done an excellent job, and we are going to miss you as dean, but not going to miss you because you're still going to be with us.
I am the president of the bar, SMU Law Society. So on behalf of all the SMU law students and alumni, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to our dearest outgoing dean, Professor Michael Furmston, for all his contributions to SMU law over the past 5 years. As a dean, Professor Furmston has always gone the extra mile to show his unwavering support for the students. One clear example is Professor Furmston's strong presence at so many of our mooting competitions where we compete against our friends at Bukit Timah. So despite his busy schedule, he makes it a point to come down to quietly cheer the mooters on. In addition, Professor Furmston has been nothing but extremely supportive of the Law Society's student initiatives. In fact, tonight's dinner could not have happened without his kind words of advice and, of course, generous monetary support from the school. Through the Law Society's interactions with him, we can feel his enthusiasm for student activities that are outside of the curriculum, and this stems from his genuine care and concern for the holistic development of all of us as students. In the classroom, Professor Furmston is known to be one of the kindest and most patient professors in the faculty. Indeed, he is not ranked one of the top 10 great law teachers by Times without good reason. Personally, I have not had the good fortune of being taught by Professor Furmston, but the peers whom I have spoken to, who have been taught by Professor Furmston, all have enjoyed his Contract Law 1 lessons and have remarked that they are nothing but enjoyable. They remark that he is warm, approachable, and makes it a point to lighten up the classes with his light-hearted jokes. So thank you, Professor Furmston, for your time, effort, and love for SMU Law. The school could not have been where it is today without you.
Nobody warned me that there were going to be these speeches. Last night when we had the general adjustments, I had guessed that the president would say something that would call for a reply, but tonight is totally unprepared. I think all I need to say is thank you very much. Kelvin first said many very nice things for which I'm grateful. As Kelvin said, I keep on making a habit of this, and each time I stop being dean, I think it's the last time. It's very curious that I stopped being dean on the 30th of June, and so I went to bed on the 1st of July, thinking that life would always be different. But on Monday the 2nd of July, I actually had a telephone call from a headhunter which inquired whether I was interested in a new job. Actually, I wasn't, but it shows that it's hard to foretell the future. But I tell people sometimes that my target is Oliver Wendell Holmes. left for dead on the battlefield at Antietam in 1862, but wasn't dead, got up, and he had a father who was also called Oliver Wendell Holmes, who wrote books with titles like The Autocrat at the Breakfast Table. When he came back from the Civil War, he told his father that he thought he would go to the Harvard Law School. And his father said, why do you want to do that? No lawyer has ever been a great man. But he took no notice of his father, which is good general policy. My children, well, don't take any notice of me. They survived quite well. And he went off to Harvard Law School, wrote a great book called The Common Law, and went into practice, became a judge in Massachusetts, and then a judge on the Supreme Court of the United States. And he served as judge on the Supreme Court until he was 91. This is why he's my model. And on the 12th of January 1932, the Chief Justice went and saw him and said, we think you're slowing down a bit. So he got his pen out and wrote a letter to President Hoover resigning. So it shows how things can go, but they may not all go that way. I'm very grateful to all of you for all the nice things you've said and for supporting what Kelvin said. Thank you very much.